There are so many ways in OSRS to make money. Warcraft, zombie pirates, brutal black dragons, the blast furnace, even rune dragons, and they're all very good methods and all profitable. But most people already know these. But I'm going to talk about 5 money makers that you might not know about. Some of these print mils per hour and some are low effort. Some might have requirements that you already have and some of them you might need to work towards. The GE prices move a lot, so bear that in mind, but the methods themselves are somewhat stable. Starting off with one that a lot of people don't talk about because it could be seen as maybe a bit dumb, and it's buckets of sap. You use a knife on a tree with a bucket in your inventory and it gives you a bucket of sap. That's pretty much it, that's the entire method. The buckets are very cheap, and the buckets of sap go from around 4 to 500 GP. So you're looking at around roughly 430 GP profit per bucket. And the action itself is very fast, it takes a few seconds. The catch is not every tree actually gives you sap. If you examine a certain tree and it says a commonly found tree, then this one definitely gives you sap. But if it says one of the most common trees in Gielinor, then that one probably doesn't give you any sap. So you've really got to find the right trees. The good news is there's so many of the right ones everywhere in Gielinor. There's one right next to the Nightmare Zone using the minigame teleport, and there's one next to the Fairy Ring AKQ, and there's a few right around the Grand Exchange itself. You don't even have to really move to bank. The downside is the GE limit on the buckets of sap. It's 15 every 4 hours, which is not many at all. So this isn't a grind for a few hours and make you rich type method, this is a slow burner. But overall, for a no requirement, low effort starter moneymaker, like if you literally have no money, then it's pretty good. Buckets of sap will pull you 30k in like 5 minutes, and pretty much no one does it. The next is lockpicks from Martin. This one's a classic hop and shop type method, and it definitely doesn't get talked about enough. Martin is the guy at the Rogue's Den under the Toad and Chicken in Berthope. His shop sells you lockpicks at 20 GP each, and it stocks 25 per world. On the GE they go for way more, so this is a good method with a little bit of margin. Buying out a full world stock costs around 500 GP and can make you up to 20,000 GP, but there are some requirements for this one. The requirements are 50 thieving and 50 agility to even get into the Rogue's Den, but they're both pretty much reasonable for a mid-level account. The method is very easy. You go to Martin, buy out all the lockpicks, hop worlds, repeat this process, and that's pretty much it. And he's also right next to a bank, so even if you wanted to bank in between hopping worlds, you can do. After 20, 40, 50 minutes, maybe even an hour, list all your lockpicks at a high price on the GE and just let them sell. The catch for this one again is the buy limit on the GE. Lockpicks aren't generally a high volume item on the Grand Exchange. So if you list like 5,000, 10,000 of them at once, you're definitely going to be sitting on them for a while. But that's okay because you're going to come back to a good amount of money. So this is a moneymaker that you can sprinkle in over the course of a few days or few weeks, not one that you sit and grind for 6 hours a day. Martin's shop also has a few other items with decent margins depending on the week and the GE price. It's worth having a look at the stock and the GE price, as some of these can make you some good money as well, but lockpicks seem to be the consistent winner. Durrik's goods at Deep Fin Point. Now this one's a bit newer and a lot of people haven't even found it out yet. With the new skill sailing being properly in the game now, there's a lot of new shops people are discovering. A lot of NPCs and items scattered around, and one of them is Durrik's goods. Go to Deep Fin Point and locate Durrik. To get there you do need 67 sailing to dock at Deep Fin Point. You sail in, run north, enter the cave, and Durrik is right near the back. The shop does stock some weird things like steel pickaxes and then a rune warhammer, dynamite, moonlight antelope fur, cosmic runes, death runes, blue dragon scales. It's like quite random stuff. There's 3 items in here that are good moneymakers. First one being dynamite, which buys for around 125 GP and sells from 5 to 600, which is a pretty big margin and has quite a high daily trade volume. It's pretty easy to flip in bulk. The next is orange dye. It buys for around 12 GP and sells for around 700. That's a massive margin, but definitely on the lower side in terms of volume. So for this one, maybe don't go too hard. And then there's the moonlight antelope fur. This one buys for around 25 GP and sells for around 4 to 500. That's also a pretty good margin. To make this efficient, you're going to need the Sailor's Amulet. This is very important as the teleport pretty much drops you on top of the bank at Deep Fin Point. So your loop becomes buy from Durrik, teleport back, bank, run north back into the cave, buy from Durrik, and each loop takes around maybe a minute. You're realistically pulling around 800 to 1 million GP per hour. And the best part is not a lot of people are doing it. The shop hop method in OSRS only stays profitable as long as not everyone is on them, so this might be a good window to give it a try before the wider community catches on. If you want a chance to enter the giveaway to win a bond, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video and tell me an unusual moneymaker you're either doing right now or you've done in the past. The next is coral farming. This one really does fly under the radar considering it's basically the next iteration of herb runs. To unlock coral farming, there is a quest that needs to be completed. The requirements for the quest are like mid-tier sailing levels and Slayer to do the quest itself. Once complete, you get 2 coral patches unlocked. They're both underwater and the best way to access them is by going to Fairy Ring CJQ and then running east through the water. You're going to need diving equipment and a fishbowl helmet to actually be able to go down there. The way coral farming works is pretty similar to a herb run. It's similar in that you need to plant a seed, come back later and harvest. There are 3 coral seeds you can plant. A couple of things make this different from herb runs though. One, you can't compost coral, so your farming level scales the yield much more directly. At 99 farming you can pull 30 corals per patch. Magic Secutors make a big difference here, definitely more than they do on herb runs. An Atas seed from Hespori boosts yield significantly. At 99 farming with an Atas seed you can pull 50 plus per patch. 3 patches take around 3 hours to grow, not 18 minutes like herb runs. You do them way less often, but the profit per run is pretty good, up to 350k per run. And because you're only running them every 3 hours, you can pair them with other long-term grinds. Even at 50 farming, it's worth doing. Your yield is definitely going to be lower, but it's still profitable. Cutting jumbo squids at the chum spreader. This one needs setup and money to start, but the GP per hour is very good. You need a chum spreader on your boat. To do this you need 82 sailing. You need to sail out to the bank boat in the Shrouded Ocean, which is a floating bank in the middle of nowhere. And you need a stack of jumbo squids. You can buy these from the GE if you're not deep sea trawling them yourself. The method itself is you use a jumbo squid on the chum spreader, and you have a chance of getting a squid beak per cast. Squid beaks sell for around 1.5 million GP. The drop rate is roughly 1 in 512. But where it gets interesting is the chum spreader processes 4 squids per tick, and instead of rolling for the beak per squid, it rolls per tick at 4 times rarer, but gives you 4 beaks when it hits. So the average is the same but the swings are bigger. You also get a fine fish offcut per cast, and these can sell for around 750 GP. That offsets a huge chunk of your jumbo squid cost. You can burn through 15k jumbo squids per hour at the chum spreader. That can be anywhere from 7 to 13 million GP per hour. If you've got 84 fletching, turn your squid beaks into rosewood blowpipes. Make sure you do that before listing because rosewood blowpipes sell faster than raw squid beaks. The buy limit on jumbo squids might be your problem, so if you can stockpile them over a few days first, then that would be ideal. But the main catch on this is it's expensive to start. You're spending anywhere from 10 to 20 mil on jumbo squids per hour. If you don't have too much money, then this definitely isn't a method for you. But if you've got a healthy bank sitting around and you want to try a new moneymaker, not too much in the mid game comes close to the GP per hour. Moneymakers in OSRS shift fast, especially in this day and age with so much content. What's overlooked today is meta in 3 months and dead in 6, mainly because people catch on and the actual price of things start to drop. So the actual skill isn't memorizing methods, it's checking the GE margins regularly and being willing to try the weird stuff that nobody's really trying. Most of the money in this game is by doing the thing that not everyone else thinks of doing at the time. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to enter the bond giveaway. There's a link in the description if you want to join the Discord community. I hope you're having a good day, and until the next one, peace.